Hello and welcome to Ditch Witch Diaries. We are here with trees and we are going to be talking about a fun tree today. I love it. I'm very excited about it. So let me just share. So we are going to do alder today. And alder is beautiful and amazing. And sometimes it
Mm,
just gives me a feeling of what it is. I don't know why I chose this like really pale pink and this swirly writing, but it just was like,
mm,
that's what it was.
very nice.
So the Latin name for alder is Alnus, so that's easy.
Mm.
And this has those catkins again. If you look at this botanical drawing, you can see that we're dealing in the world of catkins. And those are those long, spindly. Here, I'll use my little pointer instead of just pointing. Exactly. This little cat, that's a catkin right there. And this is what an alder tree looks like. And then look, I even put some in here.
Mm,
These are the cones, and that's the catkin. So, of course, I always have to tell you if there's some sort of rad poetry. And so
mm,
there's two pieces of writing that we're going to look at. So here's the first. I caught the fitful sound, wafted over sullen moss and craggy mound, unfruitful solitudes that seem to upbraid the sun in heaven, but now to form a shade. For thee, green alders have together wound their foliage. And
mm.
that is the Sonnet to Dudden by William Wordsworth. So the second one is, what is that? There we go. And curling ferns like owlets half awake, with floods of alder tassels that drop dust of gold on the dark pools where, twixt the bars of piercing sunbeams, speckled troutlings dar.
Mm.
And that's Arlo Bates, a lover's messenger. And they're talking about like the alder, of course, is like when those catkins, the
Mm,
tassels, they drop like gold all over the place.
mm.
There we go. So this is the parts used, the wood, the bark, but you can use any parts. I mean, if you're doing magic, then enjoy yourself, right? Other names are the black, there's different types of alder. We're going to talk about this,
Mm.
but the black alder is another name for that is Fearn. We're going to talk about why that could be the case.
Mm.
The red alder is hazel alder, smooth alder, tag alder. The white alder is other names is cinnamon clethra, summer sweet clethra, sweet pepper bush, owler, and then these are just that starting with owler. It's just this is for all of them. Owler, eller, elts, eller konge, which is elf king in Danish. That gives you a little bit of a foreshadowing. So the correspondences, the element, okay, we have some disagreement here.
Mm.
Briggs says it's air, fire, and Franklin adds earth to the whole bunch. So notably missing though is water. Or
Mm.
no, water is in there. Fire, water, and
Oh,
earth.
yeah.
So they're all over the place. So there's no consensus on elements. It's everybody says something different. Every element is represented. No consensus there.
Do you remember off the top of your head, the Franklin book?
I have Franklin right there.
No, but like who, like I know what Briggs book you're talking about here, but
Uh,
what's the Franklin one?
Let me show you. I have it here. Hold on. It's this one. The Hearth Witches Compendium.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
that's magical and natural living for every day. Anna
Okay.
Franklin.
Nice.
It's a good book.
Isn't it? Okay.
It's a good book. Sometimes these trees aren't in our traditional herbal books
Yeah.
because they're not really, so
Yeah.
you have
Fair.
to look elsewhere. So the planet, again, there's no consensus. So Briggs says Mars or Mercury. Culpeper and Franklin say Venus.
Mm.
Yeah. Astrological sign, the only one I could find is Pisces. which is very watery, like an
Yeah.
ocean of water. The temperature, I could not find such things. Tar
Excuse me.
Tarot card is strength.
Hmm.
Chakra, and we're going to see why these all make sense. Chakra is the throat chakra.
Hmm.
The Sabbat. So it's tied to all sorts of Sabbats. Midsummer, Ostara, Mabon, Imbolc, Lunasa. And also like well dressing, which then ties it back to water. So maybe Franklin's got it right here because
Yeah.
well dressing, like that's like when you find a well and
Mhm.
you like are christening or whatever. I say christening. That's it's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever it is. When
Yeah.
you're like celebrating a new
Yeah.
well and you're doing a ritual around it,
Yeah.
you can dress the well with alder, and we'll talk more about that. So the goddesses are Astarte, the Fae, any water spirits, Circe,
Hmm.
and I put Guinevere in here, even though she's not a goddess, but whatever.
Hmm.
Rinda, and this is another interesting one, the Norse goddess of the frozen earth. And
Oh.
then her and Odin bore Vali. So
Hmm.
the moon phase is full or dark, either one, full or dark moon. We'll talk about both, but also like it's an Ogham tree. So the Ogham month period or the Ogham period is from March 18th to April 14th.
Hmm.
And the crystal associated with it is amethyst. So there's a lot of plant information on this. So it has about 30 spirit species in the genus Alnus, and they're native to all over the place. So the black alder, the Alnus glutinosa, is native to Europe. The and Western Asia and Northern Africa. But it also lives well in the Pacific Northwest. But I know, but also you find Alnus rubra, which is the red alder in the Pacific Northwest.
Hmm.
So the alder is what's called a nitrogen fixer. So often you get soil that is not good soil and not very fertile because the nitrogen has been sapped out of it, but alder brings that back. So
Hmm.
alder is also in the birch family, so it's tied to birch. It is deciduous. It pollinates via the wind, which is like you can see why, because those
Yeah.
cactuses blow everywhere with gold
Hmm.
dust. It produces reddish male catkins, which we saw, and then those woody cone-like female fruits.
Hmm.
So the catkins are formed in the autumn, and then there's flowers on the tree in the spring. And it thrives in poor soils because it fixes poor soils, right? So it's found near
Hmm.
water, it thrives in wet spaces. So I'm seeing a lot of ties to water here, which is interesting that was like only mentioned once.
Yeah, and especially like that the fire was mentioned twice, right? So,
Yeah, and also the Venus and Pisces, they all
hmm.
scream a little bit of watery,
Yeah.
water. So the Alnus glutinosa, which is the black, it's the most common, the black one. And glutinosa, it's what they're talking about, what that means, what that's referring to is the sticky resinous gum that's found on the young leaves and stems.
Hmm.
So we got more plant information. So this is so rad. So the wood actually, when it's cut, so there's red inside this tree, which is that might be where the fire is from. So
Hmm.
there, when it's cut, it's not immediately red. It oxidizes. It starts out
Hmm.
white and it'll oxidize red. And also the sap is red as well.
Hmm. Interesting.
So when you find a young alder, the wood is softer and it can be worked and it can be like whittled and moved around. It's used often for furniture in Scotland, but then when it gets older, it gets it gets hard and it gets like a hardwood. So then
Mm.
it's used, when it gets hard, it's used for furniture. And then in Scotland, they use it for cabinets and spinning wheels, bowls, even spoons, cigar boxes, everything.
Mm.
So another interesting part about it is that it can withstand long periods in water. So it has been used often for watery things like pumps and troughs and sluices. And owls love to make their homes in it. So that's why you
Mm.
heard the word owler was one of the names for
Um,
it. Yeah. So it's known to split when you fell a tree, when you cut down an alder tree. It's known to split in half and even kill the person who is trying to cut it down. And
mm.
so you have to put a chain around it to keep it together so that it doesn't split in half and kill you.
Interesting.
I know. The bark of the alder looks like it has little eyes all over it. And so like because moss and lichen often adhere to it, so it looks like there's little eyes looking back at you.
Mm.
And because of all the sap inside it, it ignites fast. And
Mm.
it's used in the creation of gunpowder and explosives. It can even be used as a fuel source for like smiths fires and potters ovens.
Mm.
So let's just move right on to the lore, stories, and cultural importance. So we're going to start with England. Okay, general England. England is vast, and we often have different places, which we will in this as well, but we're going to talk about general lore. So Alder is associated with spirits of the dead in England. So that's interesting. In Somerset, it's they consider it's associated with the Fae, and it's dangerous because elementals and Fae live in the alder groves. And if you go into an alder grove, you could be like absconded away to the land of the fairies, and then you'll never come out. So
Mm.
take care in the alder groves. In Derbyshire, which is England as well, the cones are they're called black knobs, and this is where we see that well dressing ceremonies. So you can see in that picture even like the idea of like the well.
Mm.
And so then we move to Wales. And in Wales, so there's this thing called the Battle of the Trees. And Bran, who is the god of the underworld, he had an alder staff and he had a cauldron where he brings people back, the dead, back to life. And Bran is translated as crow or raven, which is interesting. It brings whole new light to the Game of Thrones
Mm.
because Bran was,
Bran.
yeah,
Yeah.
Bran, who, like, Bran is the one that falls and, like,
Yeah,
when
he's the
at
one
the
who sees the crow, right? Yeah.
yeah, like the exactly. And
Yeah.
so the Raven, so Alder's associated with ravens, but it's interesting that Bran and that whole
Mm.
tie-in, like it's very interesting because yeah, he was the one at the beginning that fell and
Yeah.
he caught it is Cersei. It's
Yeah.
Cersei and what's his name? It's been so long.
I know. Her
Her
like
brother.
brother? Yeah.
Yes, they were,
Yeah.
and he fell
And he
off the
pushes
side of the
him.
building.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was pushed off the side of the
Yeah.
building. Exactly. Anyway, so he's connected with the crow and the raven.
Mm.
So now another way that you can remember Bran, but regardless of all of that, he had an alder staff. And so because of that, it's connected with crows and ravens.
Mm.
So in Denmark and Norway, if you stand under an alder at noon at midsummer, you're going to see the king of the Fae and all his panoply of fairies. So
Mm.
go stand. I would go.
I would go.
I would go. So, however, alder groves were a refuge for lovers and outlaws because people were afraid because of the Fae
Mm.
connection. So, people that didn't want to be seen often would go into groves of alder.
Mm.
So the Norse say that Alder is a wild woman. And you know what? It's so funny. I found this in a book. I don't know which book I found this in. Maybe it was Corinne Boyer's book about trees. That's a really interesting one.
Hmm.
But I couldn't find any information online about this story. So we're just going to go with it. And
Hmm.
it's kind of a cool story. So Alder was a wild woman, and the rough elves, you first of all, you saw that it was called, one of the other names for it was like elves.
Hmm.
And rough elves, that's just a translation, like a literal translation. It's
Hmm.
not like, so take that how it is. And she is supposed to, the rough elves, which is the alder tree, and Squirrel's like enraptures or spellbinds a hero. And he goes mad and he stays in the woods for 6 months. Then she takes him to the place where she is the queen, and she bathes herself in magic water. And then when she does this, she transforms into a beautiful woman.
Hmm.
Yeah. So there you
I
go.
do love a good bath transition.
I know. I know. Me
Oh.
too. So the elf queen is supposed to live in the alder trees as well. So we have a lot of fae, elves, all sorts of things. Then in
Oh.
Germany, I know this is Germans, but so in Germans, like the alder trees are considered sentient.
Hmm.
And if it hears like a person talking about cutting it down, it's gonna cry and put out drops of blood and even beg for its life.
Dang.
I know, it's very sad. But
Yeah.
probably because the sap is red. So
Yeah. Yeah. And
so
then she gets angry when you do cut it down and she splits and kills you.
exactly, exactly. She gives the big middle finger.
Yeah.
She has the last laugh. She
Yeah.
cries. So some believe that the alder is going to protect you from bad magic or bad luck. So you can, we at Ditch Witch Diaries laugh a little bit about love spells
Mm,
because it's kind of a little bit of a kidnapping, right? It's like
mm,
you're doing it to somebody else. It's kind of
yeah.
weird. So
Non-consensual.
non-consensual taking of a
Yeah.
person's heart. Yeah, something like that.
Um,
Anyway, so if you want to stop, if you feel like a love spell has been cast upon you, then you can stop that love magic by drinking alderbark wine.
mm,
I
might
know.
do that just in case.
Exactly. We need some alderbark wine just in case. Exactly. I suggest everybody have some
Yeah,
just in case.
just in case. Mm,
So it's supposed to protect water spirits. That's why water spirits are attached to it.
mm,
And then we see this like as like the first man or woman. So it's interesting. A lot of trees are associated with this first man or woman. But in Germany, alder trees appear first as a beautiful woman to seduce men and teach them a, a lesson, I think. That's, yeah,
yeah.
I love that. A lesson. Then later they change into a bark covered creature. That's the best story ever.
I love that one.
I know, it's kind of like me. I feel seen.
Uh,
So before moving out of a house, like if you're vacating a house, you were supposed to break an alder stick in 4 pieces and throw a piece in each direction. I guess for luck or for safety or whatever.
mm,
So it's also associated with this thing called Walpurgis Night or Walpurgis Night, which was April 30th, which just passed.
mm,
Because witches ate the alder buds during this time at night and were able to change the weather.
interesting.
So if a redheaded or ginger, as we want to call them, a ginger woman, shook the alder tree, storms would come.
Mm.
And if you want to stop breastfeeding, you put an alder wreath around your neck and it would say the witch stole your milk. Okay.
Hmm.
So there's not very much about Indigenous North America, but alders used to be women. I love that. And it's the Salish people
Hmm.
had that idea. Now we go to the Celtic lore, stories, and cultural import, and it's associated with the Ogham calendar. So one of the names, alternative names, was Fearn, and it was because of that. So
Hmm.
it's from March 18th to April 14th, and it was about balancing male and female energies, strength, which is why it's tied to the strength card, and teamwork.
Hmm.
So I like to always give these things, and I'll put where it's from. So the insight about this is build bridges in the face of conflict rather than allowing ourselves to be storm tossed on the seas of passion. Balance,
Hmm.
strength, and balance.
Hmm.
Divinatory meeting. So I guess if you think of a alder tree, it's alder is a tree of protection, especially from painful excesses of watery emotions. So used to withstand fear, anger, or doubt in yourself. And I don't know what clothes has to do with anything, but whatever.
Hmm.
If it comes into your mind, you may need a raft to float over a sea of troubled feeling. The affirmation about alders is, O alder of the waters, strengthen me today. Show me the way to direct my passions into clear channels of focused activity that I may bring change and healing to my situation. Nice. So that's from a Druid's Herbal of Sacred Tree Medicine. And they always give you this little thing about and all the Ogham trees. They give
Hmm.
you an insight, a divinatory meaning, and an affirmation. So I like this.
Hmm.
Just something. So more Celtic lore. So again, the first woman in Celtic lore, the first woman came from an alder. And I love this part about it because also ancient fences that were made with alder were often like they put severed heads on the posts to warn like enemies around them.
Yes. Little pikes.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And then in Ireland, things are quite different. In Ireland, they say the first man came from the alder. So the first woman,
Hmm.
the first man. I think the Celtic tradition was much larger than Ireland. The Celts
Yeah.
were in a lot of places. It was a larger ethnic group.
Hmm.
So, but this is specifically to Ireland, and they say the first man came from an alder. So if you cut an alder down, your house would catch on fire. So maybe you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So somehow the alder was cut down and you made a milk bucket for to milk your cows with from alder, then that would protect the milk.
Hmm.
So one way or the other. It's also called battle witch wood.
Hmm.
Kind of cool. So in Austria, this is a great story. So it's a favorite tree of sorcerers, I mean, and probably sorceresses.
Hmm.
So we're going to tell you this story. This is a little tale. So there's this boy, once upon a time. Once upon a time, a boy climbed an aspen tree and he saw like this all these sorcerers cutting up a dead old witch and putting her into a cauldron that was like bubbling and fermenting. And they, during this ritual, they threw her bones up in the air. And when they did that, the boy caught one of her rib bones and he kept it. So the sorcerers realized that there was a bone missing and they replaced that bone with a piece of alder, right? And after that, she arose from the cauldron and came back to life as a young woman. And she apparently that she in this ritual, it was said that if anybody ever called her, if any of her friends ever called her the Alder Wood Witch, she would die. So they couldn't call her that. So the boy on his meanderings later he runs into this beautiful young woman and she tries to use her witchy powers on him and he calls her the Alder Witch Woman and she dies.
Hmm.
That's, I know, a little sad, but there
Yeah.
you go.
Hmm.
So in Scotland, we have another little story. So people say once upon a time in Scotland, there was this belief that that there was this bridegroom who was murdered, and then, and of course, the bride wept and felt so much grief. And so she went to bed one night, and the bridegroom appeared in a dream. And he told her that he wasn't dead at all, that in fact he was stolen by the Fae. And so she was so troubled by this dream that she ran and had his um, casket excavated and opened up. And when they opened up the casket, he was not in there, and there was an alder log inside instead.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it is indeed in Scotland, it's associated with death. We see that a couple different places, right?
Hmm.
So in Greece, it's associated with fire. So here we go, more fire. Fire, water. I think those are the two that we've seen the most
Hmm.
here. And like air only because that's the way it's pollinated. So maybe
Yeah.
so it's especially associated with Feronius, who invented fire. The magical properties. So it's good for if you want to use it for adventure and bravery and journeys, banishing and controlling the elementals. The elementals are in the alder grove, so I'm sure it's associated in some way. It's also associated with glamour and charisma, charm and leadership, self-confidence. That could all be tied into one thing, right?
Hmm.
Creation magic and fertility. So there's this fertility spell if you want to conceive a child, which I'm more of the
Hmm.
abortifacient perception, but like
Hmm.
if you do want to have a child, you should gather alder twigs in the spring and put them on a mirror and let the pollen like get because the pollen will fall out if it's during the spring. And then with a feather, you're going to sweep up the pollen and put it in a piece of paper that has written on it polit, policidum pollinus, pollentia pollinus, pollentia apollinus, polus apollinus, pollinum, pollucio, polio. So
Oof.
I know that's quite a thing. So just write it. Don't try to say it.
Yeah.
And then you're going to fold up this written piece and you're going to put it in a yellow silk bag and you're going to hand it above you're going to hang it, not hand it. I have
And
that misspelling this time, but I'm just ignoring. You're going to hang it above your bed until you conceive.
hmm,
And there was good reviews about this spell, so
interesting.
it's also used for divination and prophecy and visions, spiritual growth. And of course, we talked about the elemental magic.
Hmm.
So, Fey magic, a lot of Fey, a lot of elementals, a lot of those kind of things. So, you can meet the Fey if you walk in the Alder Grove, especially on Midsummer. Um, or alternatively, if you walk in the Alder Grove when there will be a full moon. So,
Hmm.
but you can do it in the day or the evening of the full moon. So you should make sure that you always have an offering though. So milk or cream or alcohol is the possible offering you can bring for the Fae. So guide, you can use it for guidance or love magic. We even saw it to break the love spell.
Hmm.
So I like that better, breaking the love spells. Protection. You can ask the alder for its protective blessing. You can, of course, we see this everywhere. Bring it inside, hang it up
Hmm.
above something, it's going to protect you. So hang the twigs above your baby's crib. So you can also infuse sacred items with aspen oil during rituals for protection. So here's another little spell here. So you can go, and I love how spells just get, this is actually like from Ironwood. So it's going to be like, there's going to be bits of Christianity or bits of Bible in there because it's like more hoodoo based. But here we
Mm-hmm.
go. Here we go. Take from it what you will. So you go where the alders grow and you dig up a bit of its root. Then you chop the root finely and you add salt and you just let it sit there. Okay. One thing done. Then
Mm-hmm.
you take 3 silver dimes, 3 wooden matches, and 3 new pins to a graveyard. You're going to stab the match heads with the pin and then push the matches into the ground up to the head. So you're going to make like a triangle out of them. You're going to like
Mm-hmm.
make like a triangle out of them. And you're going to try to like balance a dime on top these two like little things that you've created, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then from underneath that little triangle, you're going to get some dirt out of that from a graveyard, out of that little triangle. And you're going to say, "The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the Lord." Sounds like a little non-denominational Christian song, but this is really hoodoo.
Yeah, I mean, you could also just like swap the words, right? Like
Yes,
goddess if you wanted to or
of
something.
course, of
Yeah.
course. You can, this is just, I'm
Yeah.
repeating the story. So,
Yeah.
yes. So then you walk out of the graveyard backwards with dirt on your hands and you go home. Then you add the dirt that you dug up from those triangles, right, to the alder root and the salt. You cover it with a quart of water and you boil it until all the water has evaporated, but don't burn it.
Mm.
Then you add a teaspoon of gunpowder, which I love. Where are you getting gunpowder? I've
Yeah.
never seen gunpowder in my life. I don't even know where to get gunpowder.
I know.
And you sew this all into a red bag and you can wear it around your waist or your neck for protection.
Hmm.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's
Yeah, I do like a lengthy like
a lengthy
ritual.
thing. I know. You
Yeah.
can definitely I feel like I put these in here like so that you can it's an idea. Like,
Yeah.
create your own spell for
Yeah.
protection.
Yeah.
Don't like go off somebody else's spell, although she has some good ideas. So if you want to take some of
Yeah.
these bits and pieces and
Yeah.
cobble together your own,
Yeah.
that's always what I do. So
Yeah, I think we've talked about this before, but it's been a while. But I think you and I both share the same mindset of like, well, I'll speak to myself,
okay.
but I think that finding some working and copying it to the T takes out the magic because you're not putting any of yourself, like you're doing it. But I think the creation aspect, you creating like mentally what you want to do, you creating the words that you want to do or
Hmm.
whatever, like that's a big part of it. And so you just copying something that you've seen, to each their own, as we always say, but I feel like that's part of like my offering to the magic is like me putting in the work and doing the creative bits. So,
I don't
yeah.
think I've ever copied anything like to a T. I've never
I
copied a spell in
yeah.
my life ever.
I
So
think that I did like in the very beginning when I was first starting to practice, but I think that maybe that's why a lot of people who do that, they step away because they're like, oh, it's not working or whatever. And it's like, well, yeah, you are the creator. Like you have to
yeah, you
create
do
it.
that.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what makes it magic.
Yeah.
Of course. I
Yeah.
agree. So it's also tied, we've seen death. We saw that resurrection story as well. So it's tied to that. It's sacred to druids. It's used for weather magic, specifically wind. So there's the
Mm.
air quality as well, and it's pollinated with the wind. So you can use it also in dousing.
Mm.
That's water. You can make a flute. We're going to see and whistle up the wind. I put it here, but also you're going to see more. So you can whistle up the wind. So flute and pipe making, magical flutes. Also inks and dyes. So there's a lot about magical inks and dyes with Alder.
Mm.
So the bark is like a red or brown dye, and you can use an alum mordant. Grieve says it's black. if you add copperas, and I have no idea what copperas is, I look it up. It was some sort of mordant. It's like a
Mm.
copper fuse.
Okay, yeah.
So the inner bark can be used as a yellow dye. The flowers, a green dye, and if you use alum mordant. The twigs are brown dye, and you're supposed to use iron mordant. And then you can use the bark as incense. Remember, it's got a high, like sappy, resiny bit to it. It burns really well, remember. So if you do this, I love this. If you do magic in a dark moon, which I know that we don't, I don't usually do it either, except for
Yeah.
if it's for shadow work.
Yeah, that's the only
So
thing that I do on dark.
yeah. So, but if you do magic, if you do
Do you? If you do.
if you do the magic in the dark moon, which some people do, you can
Mm-hmm.
use you can use alder as an incense, right? And you can use alder leaves. And this is a good dark moon incense. So you dry everything. Alder leaves, juniper berries, rosemary, and elder flowers.
That probably smells nice.
I know. Very nice. It's also a restorative. So if you have been tricked in any way, you can drink an infusion of the leaves daily. So you can add different herbs based on like how you were tricked. So if you were slandered, you can add like slippery elm or sage. If you like can't like keep your mind off of the trickery, then you can
Mm-hmm.
use sage, something like that. So now the medical disclaimer. Okay, we are not doctors. We are not prescribing anything. If you think you have one of these ailments, you need to consult the doctor, right? I mean, maybe it's something little you don't, but come on. Okay, like let's just be like
Yeah.
we're not even faking that. Okay?
Uh,
Don't be silly. So, the medicinal properties. It is tonic, astringent, alterative, anti-inflammatory, and antimicrobial. Of course, it's York. If you want a rheumatism cure, you can cover with bags. You can cover your rheumatism parts with bags of full heated leaves. Okay, let me just tell you, if you have arthritis and you do some heat therapy, maybe that's gonna
yeah.
help anyway. So heat therapy. So this is where we get that it's associated with the throat chakra, I think, because not only
Mm,
because of it's going to help you with strength and stuff, personal strength, but also it's a sore throat tonic.
mm,
And externally, you can use the leaves on burns. So the leaves are supposed to soothe the feet of travelers. You can, for if you have swellings, you can bathe in a decoction of the bark, and it's good for all wounds and ulcers. You can make an ointment and you can use it for itching. And you could also use an alder ointment to protect from scarring from pox.
mm.
I don't know that we really have lots of pox anymore, right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe we will if people are all butthurt and cunty about getting vaccinations. Maybe
Yeah.
we will bring back the chicken pox.
Yeah. Or
Bring
maybe what's the adult chickenpox?
oh, shingles.
Shingles, maybe shingles.
Yeah, they even have I got this I got the vaccination for shingles.
My dad got shingles a couple years ago.
My mom's gotten it twice. It's horrible.
Oh, yeah, I've heard it's not.
John got it on his face and it got infected and he wound up in the ER.
Oh,
I
God.
know. My Allison got it on her back. It was like the worst. Like people that get shingles don't want to get shingles again.
Yeah.
It's like the worst. It's painful. It's like burning. Like
Oh,
I just was like, I'm getting the vaccination.
yeah.
I don't want to get shingles.
No. No, thank
Okay.
you.
And I've had chickenpox because
Yeah.
back in my day there was no chickenpox vaccine. So
Yeah.
once it's like in my body,
Yeah.
the
I
virus
had it twice, which I guess is pretty rare. Like most of the time
wow.
you only get it once.
Wow. well,
Yeah.
that's a bummer. And you don't want to
I'm,
get chicken pox as an adult. You could die from it.
yeah.
Okay? It's not good. So
No.
you can wash in the like bark for wounds, scabs, eczema, rashes. You can make a wash for that. So the story is that if you take alder leaves and you strew them on the floor and you sweep it up, it would help with your flea problem.
Hmm.
So you can use is a tea for leukorrhea, and if you don't know what leukorrhea is, go more power to you. Not good.
Uh,
Okay, but you can make a tea.
mm.
Okay, so you can combine it with wild cherry and use it as a blood purifier. The bark itself is a purgative and an emetic. So these are probably all the leaves. You don't want to be using the bark for that.
Yeah.
So, however, the dried bark you can use for liver problems, headaches, and stomach issues and TB. But if it's a purgative and emetic, maybe we're balancing those two ideas.
Mm.
So,
And if you have TB, go to the doctor.
yeah, are you kidding me? Okay, TB can be like cured by and large. There are like non-curable TB, but by and large, we don't die from TB anymore.
Yeah.
And you do know the story, that funny story about TB, don't you?
What story?
There was another name for TB before we realized that it was
Yeah.
and it was like high class to have that. Like
Yeah. And people would like paint, like do makeup so that it looked like they had it.
yeah, so what okay, hold on. What was TB called before?
What was
Consumption.
consumption? That's right. Yes,
Consumption. And you got
consumption.
all like weak and like
Yeah.
and white and like consumptive.
Yeah.
And so like people like used to like want to have TB. It was like the upper
Mhm.
class got like consumption. And so
God.
now then when they found out that it was really like a bacteria and all the low class people had it and like it was at like prisons.
Wasn't wasn't consumption and like TB one of the big killers in the game Oregon Trail?
I don't know.
I think it
I
was.
don't remember. I
Mm.
did play the Oregon Trail, but I don't remember
I
who
love
died
that
of.
game.
I thought it was like that one that you died from having bad water, but maybe consumption was one of them.
Maybe. Oh, I don't
I thought
remember.
it was like you died like that. I don't know what that disease is that you get from, and it's still prevalent, like from like it gets in water supplies and people die. Whole places get
Oh, dysentery.
dysentery. That's
That's
what it
right.
is.
Yeah.
Dysentery, bad water.
Yeah. Dysentery was the big one.
Yes.
Dysentery.
Well, you can still get dysentery. Be careful. You'll get screwed if you have
Yeah.
bad water. Don't drink bad water.
Uh-uh.
So, you can chew the catkins for diarrhea or a toothache, either or.
That sounds terrible.
I know. You can eat the raw bones for
Dysentery.
dysentery. Oh my gosh, we just talked about that. That's great. I love it. For
Oh.
dysentery. Eat the raw cones. I wouldn't eat the raw cones. You know what? There's really no. I don't know what they do for you for dysentery. You're
I don't know.
screwed. You got like bacteria in your freaking gut.
Yeah.
So there's an elixir that you can make with the dry, spicy buds, young twigs harvested in February.
Mm.
February. And that's it. And these are my sources. And I didn't even use any websites because I have a lot of books. So I just
Nice.
used that. Anyway, so there we go. So stop this little share there. Yay! So if
Yay.
you liked our videos, like and subscribe below and that whole thing. And anyway, we can't wait till the next trees. We're still doing trees. We've got more left. We're just plugging through them. We're gonna do all the freaking trees. And then next we were talking about like going through and digging deep into any poisons that we may have. We've done a lot of poisons. So
Yeah.
we have like a poison playlist. So if
Yeah.
you want to get a jump start on poisons, we do have a poison playlist. But
Yeah.
we're going to talk about poisons. So I
Hmm.
think our next little thing.
Yeah. And I want to, at least when I do mine, I'm going to spend some time on gardening and cultivating them
Ooh,
too.
I love that because
Yeah.
it's hard to find those and you have to usually grow them from sprout.
Yeah.
Although I've seen like I mean, some of them are considered poisons, but then a lot of poisons, they're just strong medicine because they're
Yeah.
used like
Yeah.
digitalis comes from foxglove. So,
Hmm.
and you can find foxglove and it is beautiful. I think I
Yeah.
saw foxglove in like Disneyland. Like maybe
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
foxglove is lovely.
Yeah. I bought a belladonna from this like gardener who does sales like once a year, and it was sprouted. She was baby, she was small, but she was sprouted and she's getting really big now. But that's the only one that I've seen. I think that's like sprouted and like grown leaves already. Yeah, usually you have to do it from seeds
Yeah.
or I don't know.
Well,
So,
we'll talk
yeah.
about that too. So that's exciting. But
Yes.
we're going to be doing more trees. So
Yeah.
next time,
Finish the trees first.
exactly. So join us at the next Ditch Witch Diaries for more trees. See you later.